sibling rivalry to ride or die. The air in the tiny shoebox apartment was thick with newness and unspoken rules. Akito stared out the window at the endless sprawl of Tokyo, a concrete ocean that felt suddenly vast and isolating. Back home, independence was a dream he'd chased. Here, it was a heavy coat he didn't know how to wear. His older sister, Rina, had secured this small place near her university and his middle school. A nest, she called it. Akito, all of 12, felt less like he was in a nest and more like he was stranded on a tiny raft. He missed the comfortable chaos of their family home, the noise that drowned out his own anxious thoughts. This silence, punctuated only by Rina's distant typing, was suffocating. He wondered, not for the first time, why she had insisted on this arrangement. Why did she want him here? Rina finally emerged, pulling her hair back into a severe bun, her expression already set for the day's adult responsibilities. Rule 1, Akito, she stated, not asked. We are roommates, not dependents. You do your own laundry, you manage your own schedule, and the kitchen sink is never a resting place for dirty dishes. She was 20, and the 2-year move-out plan their parents had imposed seemed to have aged her 5. Akito bristled at the harsh tone. He wanted her support, not her instruction manual. Roommates, he thought bitterly, watching her grab her keys. Since when does a roommate manage my life? But he didn't argue. He knew that arguing meant acknowledging the fragile, new independence they both shared, and he couldn't bear to break the silence she had imposed. The halls of Kenka Middle School were a flood of noisy, confident teenagers. Akito felt like a slow-moving island in a rapid current. He clutched his textbook, trying to memorize the route to his locker while simultaneously looking down to avoid eye contact. The pressure to figure out where he belonged was a physical weight. He saw groups, the sporty ones, the academic ones, the cool ones, each radiating a certainty he lacked. By the lockers, a guy named Shota, with an air of effortless defiance, stood surrounded by his followers. Akito accidentally bumped into one of them, earning a cold, appraising look from Shota. Akito muttered an apology, heat rushing to his ears. Independence doesn't come with a social map, he realized. Lunchtime. Akito found an empty corner on the roof, claiming it as his temporary sanctuary. He unwrapped his konbini bento, the food tasteless in his mouth. He scrolled through his phone, pretending to be engrossed in something important, a defense mechanism against the loneliness. Everyone else is laughing, exchanging secrets, forming bonds. He imagined his parents' worried faces. They expected him to thrive, to grow up, to handle the pressures. He could handle the laundry and the cleaning, but he couldn't handle the crushing silence when the phone was put away. He wished Rina was here, not to talk, but just to be a familiar, judgmental presence he could safely ignore. The thought shocked him. Rina sat in the university library, surrounded by towers of half-read books and caffeine cups. She was supposed to be studying for an advanced physics exam, but her mind kept drifting to the mountain of receipts on her desk and the part-time job application she needed to submit. Her independence was a tightrope walk. She was the one who had to be the adult, the reliable anchor for Akito, but inside, she was unraveling. The weight of supporting them both, emotionally and financially, was crushing her. She wanted to call her mother, to cry and say she couldn't do it, but she couldn't. Not after she had insisted on this new life. She closed her textbook, ran a hand over her face, and sighed, the sound barely audible over the library's quiet hum. Akito arrived back at the apartment first. He was looking for a replacement charging cable when he dared to step into Rina's room. It wasn't just messy, it was a disaster area. Clothing, takeout containers, and crumpled papers formed small, chaotic hills. The sight surprised him. Rina, the queen of rules and order, lived like this? He felt a strange pang, not of superiority, but of unexpected pity. He grabbed a trash bag and started clearing the papers, a sudden need to impose order on her chaos. Hidden beneath a pile of laundry, he found a crumpled document, a job rejection letter. The sight made his chest ache, a raw and confusing mix of resentment for her rules, and a desperate urge to protect her from this new world. Rina walked in late, exhausted and defeated, only to find Akito holding the job rejection letter. She snatched it from his hand. "What do you think you're doing? Poking around? Judging me?" she spat, the fatigue transforming into sharp anger. Akito dropped the trash bag. "I was helping. Your room is a health hazard, and you're acting like everything is fine when it clearly isn't." He shot back, his voice shaky. "I don't need your help. I need you to stay in your lane, Akito. This is what being independent looks like. It's messy and stressful, and it's my mess to handle." The argument wasn't about the room. It was about the pressure they were both shouldering and the fear that they weren't strong enough to carry it alone. The next day, after school, Shota found Akito near the bike racks. Shota didn't look angry, he looked predatory. "Skipped out on us yesterday, Akito," he said, his voice deceptively casual. "We're heading up to the old construction site. Good view, better stories. Everyone's going. We just need a lookout." Akito felt the familiar anxiety coil in his stomach. The construction site was dangerous and strictly off limits. A perfect opportunity for them to find trouble. This is a test, he thought. Pass this, and the loneliness ends. Fail it, and you're the weird kid forever. His mind screamed no, but his lips felt dry and useless, unable to form a word. The moment Akito hesitated, Shota's smile dropped. "Look, we're not asking you to do anything hard. Just stand by the entrance. If you can't handle that, maybe you're not cut out for this school, kid." The word kid sliced through Akito's already frayed nerves. The pressure became too much. It was physical, a wall of sound and expectation that made his vision blur. He mumbled something about needing to get home, turned on his heel, and walked away, not running, but moving with a desperate, clumsy urgency. He knew he had failed the test. He glanced back just once. Shota was watching him, a slow, cold smirk replacing the anger, confirming Akito's exclusion. The apartment was dark and still when Akito finally got back. The shame of his retreat was a bitter taste. He dropped his backpack, the sound echoing too loudly in the silence. He didn't want to think about Shota, or his own failure to be brave, or the looming solitude of the weekend. He needed Rina to be here, but he didn't want to talk to her, didn't want her to see his failure. He grabbed a frozen dinner, nuked it in the microwave, and sat down to stare at his phone. He sent Rina a curt text, "Dinner, left yours in the fridge." It was a communication, but also a wall. He ate 3 bites of the meal before his anxiety took over, leaving the rest untouched. Rina returned at 10 p.m., smelling of old coffee and industrial cleanser from her late shift. She noticed the untouched plate on the counter and the closed door of Akito's room. She paused. This wasn't her brother's usual petulance. This was a heavier silence. She slowly walked to his door and knocked softly, a hesitation she hadn't shown since they'd moved in. When he answered, she saw it. The forced stillness in his eyes, the way he flinched when she reached for the light switch, and the faint red scratch on his forearm, partially covered by his sleeve. It wasn't just stress, it was something else, something dangerous. The roommate mask cracked, revealing the tired, fiercely protective older sister beneath. Rina didn't ask about the scratch. She just leaned against the doorframe, her posture losing its rigidity. "Look, Akito," she said softly, her voice low and rough. "I'm scared too. I'm failing exams, and I think I'm going to lose my job. I've been acting like a warden because I thought if I was tough, you'd be safe." She took a deep breath. "But we're a team, not roommates. If you're struggling with the move, or school, or whatever that is on your arm, tell me. I might be a disaster, but I'm your disaster. We don't have to thrive yet. We just have to survive this together." Akito looked up at her, the wall he'd built finally crumbling. He didn't smile, But the tension in his face eased. This wasn't an instruction manual. This was an alliance.